Hello, welcome to another Cook With Me gluten-free. I'm Robin. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to make some dinner, some yummy dinner. One of my favorites as a kid growing up was baked ziti. But my mom made baked ziti a little bit different than the baked ziti that you might get like in the food court at the mall that just had the penne pasta and sauce and some cheese on top. Ours was different. Made more like lasagna because we layered it, but didn't use ricotta cheese. So I decided, since I went to Aldi for some inspiration today, to make a gluten-free baked ziti a la mommy style. So we're going to look at the ingredients in just a moment. I will say that some of my ingredients aren't labeled gluten-free, although they do not have any gluten-containing ingredients. So if you are at Aldi and you are interested in any of the ingredients that I'm going to use today, make sure you double check everything on your own. For me, I believe they're safe, but again, always be cautious for yourself. Let's look at the ingredients. I was very pleased to find that Aldi has a new pasta, gluten-free pasta. It's the Reggano brand, and this is their penne pasta. It is made with corn and rice, and I like the cook time, 7 to 9 minutes. Now, we will cook this a little more al dente since we are putting it in the oven. I am using the Priano. This is the Aldi brand sauce, one of their brands. They have more than one. This is the 4 cheese. And I'm using marinara. So I'm mixing it up. I'm using 2 jars of sauce. I will be using their Kirkwood ground turkey. This is the 93% lean, 7% fat. Here's my cottage cheese. Now, Aldi was out of cottage cheese, completely sold out. They had no cottage cheese available. So I had to get my cottage cheese from Publix. My dairy-free friends, this is not a dairy-friendly recipe, although you could swap these dairy items out with some vegan alternatives. And then we're using the Simply Nature. This is from Aldi. This is their organic shredded mozzarella cheese. I've got my utensils that I'm going to use, my pan. I'm going to brown my meat here. And then I am using a 9x9 Pyrex. And I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375. So it is ready to go when we've browned our meat and we start the layering process. Let's get started. Now, when browning meat, ground turkey, ground beef, you certainly can use any meat in this recipe. I recommend seasoning your meat to taste. I don't have any specific quantities that I use, but I will tell you that I season this turkey with black pepper, minced onions, onion powder, garlic powder, and a adobo seasoning. And I use the one without pepper. You can use whatever seasonings you'd like. And in just a moment, I'm also going to add a little bit of Italian seasoning, a blended Italian seasoning. I'll add that in and finish browning the meat, and I'll be right back. Okay, the ground turkey is nice and browned. I did add in my Italian seasoning. Now we're going to add in the sauce. Get rid of this. Now, I did put oil in my pan before I started browning my meat. And also, I've got a pot of water here ready to boil so that I can add in our pasta and get that cooked. This is the 4 cheese. Smells so yummy. And the marinara, we just mix those right together. Now, I'm sure, of course, you can use whatever spaghetti sauce you want when making this. Once this is in here, the sauce is mixed in with the meat like this. I typically will add some fresh ground pepper and salt just to give it a little kick. Same with my salt. I do like seasoning. Again, I'm not measuring it out. I'm just going, it's muscle memory. I'm going to let this simmer while we wait for the water to boil. And then we'll add in the pasta. This says 7 to 9 minutes. I am going to boil this pasta for 7 minutes, the lower amount, just because it will cook more in the oven and we don't want it to be mushy. All right, we'll be back after the pasta has been boiled. And a quick update on our pasta. I thought 7 minutes was going to be enough for a nice al dente, but I did taste one at 7 minutes and it was still very, very gummy. Tested it again at the full 9 minutes, still very al dente, but the perfect al dente for a baked pasta dish. So 9 minutes on the boil, 9 minutes. We're going to start the layering process. And again, this pan is lightly sprayed with non-stick cooking spray. So I'm just lining the bottom with noodles. Then we're going to go back and we're going to layer it with sauce. Layer our noodles with sauce. Now we may have some sauce left over, which is great. For leftovers, you can always boil some spaghetti, or you can freeze whatever's left over, but we'll see. We may not have any left over. Typically, I portion it out just right, but growing up, when we made this dish, we always made a big pan and not a small one. Okay, that looks just right. I'm just going to do one layer and show you, and then I'll go off camera and do the final layer. Okay, so we've got pasta, sauce. Now we're going to go in with our cottage cheese. I like to do like dollops across the top and then smooth it out. So again, I guess the traditional way to do this would be with ricotta cheese. Let me tell you, the cottage cheese just gives a whole new layer of creamy deliciousness. All right, let me get a little bit more to fill in these spaces, making a little mess there. All right. This is good. Now this is going to be probably pretty full, so I'd recommend putting it on a sheet pan so you don't make a mess in your oven, just in case, just in case. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, now let's open up our cheese here. And we're just going to put our mozzarella right on top. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I'm not a huge fan of the fancy, but I wanted to try Aldi's organic mozzarella cheese. So this is my first time trying it. Hopefully it turns out great. I'm sure it will. Okay, so there's layer number 1. We're going to go back in with another layer of pasta. This layer of pasta might be a little more shallow, but let me tell you, it's going to be a full baking dish. Oh boy. All right. So we've got our pasta layered on top here. Okay. Now, I almost used all the pasta. There are a few pieces left, maybe just enough for a little lunch if we have some sauce left over. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and layer on the meat and the cottage cheese, and I'll come back to do the final layer of mozzarella. So we've got our second layer of pasta, second layer of meat, second layer of cottage cheese, and now we're just finishing it off with our shredded mozzarella cheese. And you can see mine is piled high. So I will definitely be getting a baking sheet, cookie sheet, to make sure that I don't make a mess in my oven, because this is definitely going to bubble. Now, some people like to, when they're cooking a baked ziti or baked pasta dish, to put foil on top when it goes in the oven. I don't personally do that with this recipe. When I make lasagna for you, I do cover it for the first part of the baking. But for the ziti, I like it to get nice and toasty brown. And you see, I kind of pat it down just a little bit, just to make sure. I'm trying to keep some things from the edges so I don't make such a huge mess. Here's how much sauce I have left. Couple of spoonfuls of sauce, and I used almost all of the cottage cheese. There's very little cottage cheese left. So, all right, this is going to go in the oven. I am going to keep it in the oven for 30 minutes, then take a look, but I'll let you know what our total bake time is. As with anything like this that you put in the oven, you want it to be a nice golden brown because everything else is already cooked. We're looking to heat it all the way through. And if you want to see how it layers from the side, you can see much like a lasagna. This is so heavy. All right, let's get this in the oven. I kept it in the oven exactly 30 minutes, and this is how it turned out. You can see how beautiful the layering is on the inside. Can't wait to taste it. And as expected, it did bubble over just a little bit, not a whole lot, but I wanted you to see why it's important to put it on a cookie sheet, or potentially just use less ingredients. So it's time for the moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and dip some out, and then we're going to taste it. We'll take a little bit off the top here. Look at that. Ooh. Look at that cheese pull. Yummy, yummy. Now, my recommendation is to allow it to sit at least 10 to 15 minutes before serving. But I'm impatient. I can't wait. So let's give this a taste. As you can see, this is piping hot. I'm going to try to get a little bit of everything on this bite. And hopefully I don't burn my mouth in the process. It smells glorious. I can't remember the last time I had baked ziti. Let's get it all on the fork. I want the cheese. Come on. Cheers. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. Again, seasoning wise, it's up to you how you want to season your meat. Season it like you would season your spaghetti meat. Pasta sauce, if you have a favorite, use your favorite pasta sauce. If you're at Aldi and you want to give these a try and they're safe for you, highly recommend. It's very, very good. And I blended, like I said, the 4 cheese and the marinara. So I'd get the best of both worlds. And this is, I mean, it's wonderful. All right, one more taste for the road. Can't wait for dinner. Thank you so much for joining me on another Cook With Me gluten-free. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know what you want me to make or try. We'll see you next time.